welcome to the Narrowing Path, Walking the Spiritual Walk. My name is Stephen Einstein. Thank you all for joining me again today as we go through and we do today's daily reading from James Allen's Daily Meditation. And yesterday's was really good. It just kind of reinvigorated me on a couple of the topics we talked about. Again, it said to be of single aim. Passion is not power. Passion is the abuse of power, and just how our emotions can drive us incorrectly, right? And I really enjoyed it. It was really a great reading yesterday. I'm looking forward to today. So today's will be fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning that this will be the first time that I hear it or read it right here on this podcast with y'all. So you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading. So here we go. This is August 19th from James Allen's Daily Meditations. Happiness is that inward state of perfect satisfaction, which is joy and peace. The satisfaction which results from gratified desire is brief and illusionary, and is always followed by an increased demand for gratification. Desire is insatiable as the ocean, and clamors louder and louder as its demands are attended to. It claims ever increasing service from its deluded devotees until they are struck down with physical or mental anguish and are hurled into the purifying fires of suffering. Desire is the region of hell, and all torments are centered there. The giving up of desire is the realization of heaven, and all delights await the pilgrim there. I sent my soul through the invisible, some letter of that afterlife to spell, and by my soul returned to me, and whispered, I myself am heaven and hell. Heaven and hell are inward states. That is the summation of the journey of being human. Now, let me explain. Because, well, like, I'm sure there's outliers that don't have to go through the journey that I'm going to refer to here. And everyone has varying degrees of this journey, lengths this journey takes, but we, as people, human beings, animals infused with the Spirit of God, is we begin life and initially live life to serve ourselves and our selfish desires and those temporary satisfactions that we talk about here. And when we do that, we put ourselves into a state of misery and suffering that obviously was not the goal, but we don't understand how we get there or why, despite our best efforts, we can't find a contented life. And then we turn to living a spiritual way of life after we realize how we're doing it isn't working. And there's a higher cause than just our own self-satisfaction and pleasure, which I didn't even consider truly for a long time. It's a maturation process. It's a journey. It's a experience that many have to experience in some form or another. Some in much more painful ways, or some in much more material ways, whatever it might be. Some have to lose everything. Some have to give everything before they realize it won't help, right? Or it won't provide them that permanent, contented life that they thought it would. So, this meditation is incredibly prophetic, and it's incredibly powerful, and it resonates with the roots of all human beings, I believe. So here we go. Let's go get this started. Happiness is the inward state of perfect satisfaction, which is joy and peace. So that's uh that's a great definition, isn't it? Happiness, simply put, is the in I say simply, I guess it's not that simple. Inward state of perfect satisfaction, which is joy and peace. So when you want for nothing in your life and you're able to be present in a moment and experience life to its fullest, right? That's joy and peace. Well, I did it backwards. Peace and joy. And when you have those things, that is perfect satisfaction, that is happiness, that is a contented life that we get the opportunity to live today. Not everyone gets that. Not everyone has that opportunity. Not everyone is able to participate in life in that way. Everyone has to go through their own journey before they find a desire even to have that peace. So, that's what happiness is. Inward state of perfect satisfaction, which is joy and peace. So, the beginning line of the body of this, the satisfaction which results from gratified desire is brief and illusionary, and always followed by an increased demand for gratification. So, I've got a lot of examples of this. When you're drinking, right? The drink, that sensation we get from consuming alcohol, drug, that numbness or that escape we get from using narcotics and other substances. Shopping gives us a temporary high. Sexual conquest gives people a temporary distraction and high and sense of gratification and pleasure. And that's just the chase, let alone the sex, right? Those are two different things. And then, like, but the problem with all of this is that it's always only temporary, and therefore we need to constantly be pursuing external things to ourselves to fill the hole. And it's an increase, and the demand for that increased, or excuse me, that external input continues to grow, right? I mean, there's the physical representation of it, of the level of tolerance a person has that does drugs or drinks, right? It takes more, keeps taking more to get them to where they need to be. And it's the same with sexual addiction, food addictions, gambling addictions, um, social media, video game, you name it. That's the predominant um, trajectory it takes. So that is what desire will bring you, is a brief and illusionary sense of satisfaction. It's not a real thing. It's a sense of pleasure and or excitement. It's an emotional, passion filled roller coaster. That's what it ends up being. So it's never going to stay. You will always be feeling like you're lacking, or that you're not, that life, that you are discontented with life, when that is how you find your purpose or find your satisfaction in life, through an external source. All right, now it goes on. Desire is insatiable as the ocean and clamors louder and louder as its demands are attended to. Those are strong statements. It's insatiable. Desire is insatiable as the open. It's as deep as it's wide. It's as you know what? Let me make sure that is the word, and I'm pronouncing it correctly here. Impossible to satisfy. Having the insatiable appetite or desire for something. And Oxford Dictionary says, especially sex. Impossible to satisfy. And it gets louder and louder. Desire is impossible to satisfy, and it gets louder and louder the more you try. It never goes away. It never is fully satisfied. There's always something bigger, something better, something stronger, something more exciting, something more thrilling. And we're talking about the adrenaline junkies who fall into these categories too, by the way. The higher the jump, the more challenging the climb, the more death defying the hang. Those people that just hang off the edge of buildings and cliffs and things. It always has to get bigger, better, more every turn. It claims ever increasing service from its deluded devotees until at last they are struck down with physical or mental anguish and are hurled into the purifying fires of suffering. That was me. That was me with a lot of things. My drug addiction and my alcoholism, the primary ones I will mention, of course, but also with this is hard sometimes for me to admit, but the codependency, the needing of other people's approval, the desire to be liked, the desire to be accepted. I needed to always feed those monsters. I needed to always feed those monsters. And they kept growing and growing and growing and demanded more and more and more of me until this storm of misery that it talks about here, right? Physical or mental anguish, or both. Mine was a both. My mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, the anguish I was in, the pain of living, I call it, was excruciating in all areas of my life. I couldn't figure out how to live well. I couldn't figure out how to stop doing what I was doing. I didn't even know that there was another way to live. And I got cast in those purifying fires of suffering. I was suffering. Now, those fires are purifying because you are afforded the opportunity to become willing. You're afforded the opportunity to become willing. To change, to take different actions, to live a different way of life. You become humbled by those fires of suffering. They scorch the delusion from you so you can see clearly. These are those moments of clarity. They usually happen after a binge or a run or a repeat of an action you didn't want to take. And then you'll see the reality of the situation after all is said and done. Might be during a hangover. Might be after you've just lost $20,000 at a casino. Could be after anything where you have that moment where the suffering's just great enough for you to take an honest look at yourself and your life and what you're doing. Desire is the region of hell, and all torments are centered there. An ominous sentence. Desire is the region of hell, and all torments are centered there. The giving up of desire is the realization of heaven, and all delights await the pilgrim there. So, when we desire, we continue to desire these replacements for the God of our understanding, the power greater than ourselves, this to fill this hole that we feel in ourselves. That's hell. And that's what desire brings us to, is hell. He's saying here that the region known as hell is actually desire. And all torments are centered there. And then to find heaven, you simply have to allow yourself to be content with life as it is. And suddenly, in the matter of a moment, your whole world can change. It's pretty impressive and it's pretty incredible. It's a miracle, really, that a change in perspective can change you from living in hell to living in heaven and peace. It's incredible. Giving up of desires, the giving up of desire is the realization of heaven, and all delights await the pilgrim there. The only true way to receive any true blessings is to be present and contented with your life, and you'll find more blessings than you knew were possible. So, and now this last little poem here. I sent my soul through the invisible, some letter of that afterlife to spell. Sent my soul through the invisible. Oh, okay, through what you cannot see, some letter of that afterlife to spell. And by my soul returned to me and whispered, I myself am heaven and hell. A simple poem about the realization that it's perspective and it's all inside of us. It's all how we see and view and interact with the world that determines whether we're sitting in heaven or hell, because it is internal to us. And then the closing line says it again: inward, or heaven and hell are inward states. What are you viewing the eyes through? What lens are you looking at this world through? Because that will determine whether you're sitting there in heaven or sitting there in hell. That's the beautiful thing about sobriety and recovery and the spiritual life. Sometimes you can just, when you do the work and you're used to doing the work and you put the effort in, sometimes things don't change except you. And it's a whole beautiful life that you never realized you were sitting right in the middle of. We were too selfish and self-centered to see it. We desired so much else. We couldn't be appreciative of the right here and the right now. And that was a wonderful realization to be able to be given. So, all right, well, we'll go ahead. We'll close it up there. Thank y'all for joining me again today. And it's deeply resonating reading for myself. I hope everyone finds it equally as enlightening or realigning. And I'm looking forward to see how August goes on and rounds itself out, because it's been a great beginning after a very impactful powerhouse of a month that July was. So I'm looking forward to it. Thank y'all for joining me, like I said, and until next time, thanks.